Burgos, a Muslim operations clerk for the 492nd Harbor Master Detachment, Fort Eustis, Virginia, has said, "I have read the Koran several times. Islam teaches its followers to be peaceful. Islam is all about giving life, not taking it." Not only is the Quran's message ostensibly peaceful, but the book also seems to contain timeless wisdom that is hailed by leaders across the world. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair insists that the authentic basis of Islam, as laid down in the Quran, is progressive, humanitarian, and sees knowledge and scientific advance as a duty, which is why for centuries Islam was the font of so much invention and innovation. Fundamental Islam is actually the opposite of what the extremists preach. Blair's genuflection was perhaps exceeded by former U.S. President George W. Bush's second inaugural address, which classed the Quran with the formative texts of Western civilization. Self-government relies, in the end, on the governing of the self. That edifice of character is built in families, supported by communities with standards, and sustained in our national life by the truths of Sinai, the Sermon on the Mount, the words of the Koran, and the varied faiths of our people. On the other hand, yet many non-Muslims, believing the Koran preaches intolerance and warfare, regard the book as about as holy as Mein Kampf. In fact, the direct comparison has been made more than once. Speaking of the Koran, Dutch parliamentarian Geert Wilders called upon the Netherlands to ban this wretched book like Mein Kampf is banned. Wilders' view was shared by the late world-renowned Italian journalist Oriana Fallaci, who said in 2005 that the Koran is the Mein Kampf of a religion which has always aimed to eliminate the others. Even the great Winston Churchill, in denigrating Mein Kampf, called it the new Koran of faith and war, turgid, verbose, shapeless, but pregnant with its message. And it's not only Westerners who discern hateful messages in the Koran. Hindus in Calcutta petitioned the government to ban the book as hate speech. What exactly do these critics find in the Koran that is so objectionable? Wilders asserts that the Muslim holy book calls on Muslims to oppress, persecute, or kill Christians, Jews, dissidents, and non-believers, to beat and rape women, and to establish an Islamic state by force. Fallaci likewise found the roots of Islamic violence in the book Muslims venerate most of all. "Read it over, that Mein Kampf," she declared. "Whatever the version, you will find that all the evil which the sons of Allah commit against us, and against themselves, comes from that book." Does the Quran really incite people to commit violence? Most Western analysts dogmatically deny it, characterizing jihadists as an infinitesimally small group of extremists who misunderstand the Quran's peaceful message. In fact, for contradicting these assumptions, Wilders is denounced as a hate-monger by much of the European political establishment. Although he's become one of the most popular political leaders in the Netherlands, Wilders has paid the price for contravening conventional wisdom about the Quran. He was recently denied entry to Britain. He faces prosecution for incitement by Dutch courts, and constant death threats have forced him to adopt a permanent security detail. Fallaci faced something similar. Shortly before her death, she was put on trial in absentia in Italy in 2006 on the charge of defaming Islam. Of course, what is more consequential than the views of Wilders and Fallaci is that many Muslims themselves find calls to warfare in the Quran. And this group of misunderstanders is not as insignificant as Western analysts contend. To the contrary, they comprise a global movement, active from Indonesia to Nigeria and extending into Europe and North America, that is dedicated to waging war against unbelievers, that is, non-Muslims, and subjugating them as inferiors under the rule of Islamic law. This movement sees in the Quran its divine mandate to wage that war. For example, in March 2009, 5 Muslims accused of helping plot the September 11 attacks, including the notorious Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, wrote an Islamic response to the government's 9 accusations.